All right, so welcome everybody. Another edition, episode 32, hard to believe, of our Tuesday Tech Talks. Today we've got Chris Haught here talking about Aspire and Canvas and getting the grade passback going. It is a little different than it has been in years past, and it's different for good. It's a better kind of difference. So I will, we'll go through these first couple slides, and then Chris, you let me know when you want me to relinquish the screen. So it's up to you.
Okay, let's get started.
Oops.
Go ahead and change
it on the right screen. There we go.
Yep. Okay. So one of the questions is, I get from teachers who have had a sour experience in the past with using it. And I'm kind of surprised we don't have some here because we get probably 2 or 3 questions a day about grade passback. Some of the things that we had last year was just it not working at times, and it was a little bit buggy. This year, though, it seems to be a lot better. But why use grade passback? Why bother? Some are just putting them into Aspire. So who likes spending hours hand entering grades in Aspire? So that means you've got one screen up with Canvas and one screen up with Aspire, and you've got to look at that student and type it into Aspire. And who's got time, especially you secondary teachers who may have 4 periods with 30 kids each? That's time consuming. Okay. How confusing is it if you've got grades in Canvas and you're putting grades in Aspire because you're doing assignments differently, and in Canvas says the student has an A and Aspire it says the student has a B? What's to be believed? But how many of you have your admin is on your case because the grades are not in Aspire, and those students now they can't play sports or do certain things because their grades aren't posted in Aspire? So all of these things can be alleviated if you use grade passback. So a little bit about the history on the next slide. In the past, we used what's called Kimono. That was that kind of integration in between Canvas and Aspire. And it was kind of clunky and it was prone to some errors. We spent a lot of time working on it. The new one, what we call One Roster, it delivers the student data in a different way. I'll spare you all the technical details because it's way above my pay grade as well. But for the admins, for those of you that admin Canvas, it means a better rostering of students. We call those the sections. So if you have 4th period, 5th period, each one of those is a section of students that has a unique SIS ID, and that is packaged better. We get better error reporting. I'm going to show you that a little bit later. So it's much easier to troubleshoot. We get calls from teachers all the time. My grades aren't passing. And it's really hard to try and troubleshoot that in the past. This way, it's really simple. And for teachers, there's some great reasons to be using grade passback. If you use Canvas quizzes, they automatically grade, of course, unless you have an essay question or something in there that has to be manually graded, but they automatically grade, send the scores to your gradebook in Canvas, and then those are sent to Aspire. So you don't even really have to do anything. No more taking stacks of paper home to grade and to manually record. If you use SpeedGrader and you use rubrics, grade passback can save you a ton of time. You can just go right there. You can see the assignment, click in the rubrics, it's graded, the grade sent on through. So hopefully these are time savers. They may be a little bit of time to set up and to get working and get in the rhythm, but I've seen teachers who have got this set up and they just love it now. Like I said, a little bit of work to get it started, but like with anything, once you spend that time front loading it, in the end, it's well worth it. Okay, next. So let's go ahead and take a look. Clint's going to let me share my screen. And I'm going to share this one. So I'm borrowing a teacher's course so we can show this to him. And I was hoping he would be here, but he's given me his blessings, I hope. And this is a course. Now, first, we want to make sure everybody understands the difference between modules and assignments, because this is where a lot of confusion comes in. This course is a home page and it's set up in modules. We can tell because if we click on modules, we'll kind of get the same view. These are modules, and think of modules as units of content.
Hey, Chris, I think you shared your wrong window. We're seeing your notes.
Oh, are you not seeing Canvas?
Nope.
Let me stop sharing. Oh, see, and we even practiced that. Oh, this one right here. Now,
hey, look at that.
There we go. That better? Okay.
Yep.
All right. So here we have the modules set up. Okay. And remember, those modules, think of those as content areas. Some teachers like to use them as week 1, week 2, or you can use them as content. So, and you see here, these are based on standards. Okay. So those are the content that you want the kids to see. You want the kids to work through this in that certain order. So this would be the student view as opposed to assignments. And you can see here, because of the eyeballs crossed out, students can't see that. Assignments are mostly where you're going to be doing your work. Okay. So this is assignments. And by using modules, you keep that content grouped together for the students to find it. When you have assignments, you don't want to be telling students to go to assignments and try and find EHCO4 exam, right? So assignments, think of that as just for you to be able to organize things, okay? So the first thing that we want to do before we start this in Canvas, and most of you should have already done this, is in Aspire, you set up your grading assignments. Those of you that are used to using Aspire, that's what you've always done. You're going to set
Categories.
Pardon me?
You're grading categories.
Grading categories. Thank you. So you're grading categories just like you've always done. Some teachers call them assignments, quizzes, homework, participation, whatever you call those, however you did grading in the past in Aspire, that part's going to stay the same. Nothing really changes in Aspire. So you create those first, then you come here to Canvas. Okay. First thing we want to do is to create the assignment groups, okay? So we've already got some assignment groups when we've imported content. You may have multiple in there. We want to create the assignment groups that line up with those assignment categories that we've created in Aspire. So we just go here to group, and I'm going to call this one assignments. And we're going to name it by the quarter or the term, however you do your grading periods. It may be semester 1, quarter 1, term 1, whatever you call those. And I'm going to show you why that naming is important in just a second. So, well, where'd it go? I don't see it anymore. Let's scroll all the way down to the bottom. You can see I already made the other 3, but I wanted to show you how I made that one. So now I have all of these, and to move them up to the top so I can see them, I'm just going to say move group. Move it up to the top. I'm going to move all of these to the top. Didn't want you to see them before I made one. So now I've got them up here. Okay, these match what I've set up in my Aspire. Now I want to come here and on the little snowman, the 3 dots, and say sync SIS categories. Okay. Now it used to be that it would pull those out of Aspire. This is different. Now we're just trying to match those. So you can see now the assignment groups that I have created in Canvas are right here. Okay, those match what I have in Canvas. And then on the right-hand side, this matches what I have in Aspire. Okay, so this is, we talked about those sections of students. This is period 5, so that's one section of students. This is period 3, that's another section of students. So now I have to decide what assignments in Canvas do I want to go into Aspire. So I click on this one, and I want assignments to go to assignments. I want these assignments to go to these assignments. Participation, I want to go to participation and participation. In the old way that we did things, we often had a lot of errors because if something was not spelled correctly or differently, or there was an extra space, we had a lot of errors. This way, we're not going to get any errors. Okay, and this one is tests and test. And so you notice this one doesn't have a date, and I'll show you that in a second, but we're not going to assign anyone in this one because this has all of those assignments. And I only want to put the ones that I want to sync because we don't have to sync everything. We can only sync the ones that we want to. So once I've chosen what assignment groups I want to sync, then I just click on this sync categories. Okay, now they have synced. Okay, now if I refresh my screen, I can tell they've synced because now I have this little icon with the arrow. Now, any assignment that I take and drag up into here, is now ready to sync as soon as I turn the sync on. Now, I'm not going to do it for this one because I don't know if this teacher has scored any of these and I don't want to mess that up. But if I just click this little sync to Aspire, now it's ready to sync. Almost. Have two other things to do. But remember, the reason that we created those assignment groups and with that date in it is because when you create assignments, you go to create assignments, you have to put it in the assignment group when you create them, or you put the date on them if you already have them made. So if you just name them all assignments, or you have a generic name, think about that in quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4, semester, whichever you use in your district. If you have them all named the same, see if I would have had 2 assignments, you never know which one is which. Now I know this is quarter 1, so I can put it here in assignments easily without having to worry about having that in the wrong group. Make sense so far? Thumbs up, Clint? Randy? Okay. Okay, so once we do that, then we have one other thing to do. We want to make sure that we see grade sync over here. Okay, and we don't see that. So we have to go over here to settings. And we don't see that because we've had a lot of teachers that have learned that we want to minimize the navigation so that students aren't overwhelmed with all those choices. So we come down here to settings and go to navigation. And we're going to look for grade sync. It's right here. And we're just going to pull it right up here. Okay. And then remember to come down here and save. Okay. Now grade sync is showing. Okay. So we're going to click on grade sync. Okay. And if we come over here to settings, we want to turn this nightly sync on, because once we turn nightly sync on, we don't have to touch anything. Okay. But this teacher's not ready to sync quite yet because he doesn't have those assignments. So I'm going to leave it off until I work with him and make sure he's set up. But you want to make sure that that's on. Okay. So once we do that, then we are ready to start syncing grades. Okay. The one thing that's nice is we can see those errors. If we are having some problems and grades aren't syncing, you can use this remaster grade passback. This is kind of like the big flush. So if you've got past grades that aren't syncing, then you want to use this. The way that this new sync works, every night it goes back and checks for grades that are different. Okay, so that's the big thing to remember. It's only going to check for the difference in grades. It's not going to go and do all grades every night. That's why it works much more efficiently. Yep. So if you have older grades, when you set this up that you want to sync, you might want to use that remaster grade passback. So it takes a look back all the way back to the beginning of the term. Okay, so we don't have to do all of the assignments. You can pick those assignments. Okay, we've turned on the nightly sync. And this is where our error reports will show. So let's take a look. And I've got another tab where I've got a teacher who's had some errors. So we'll look at that. So this is the same tab as what we see here. Okay, this is a new one, so we don't have any errors. This is a teacher has been doing it, and look at, they have all of these errors. And if we, it says completed right here, but it's got this error symbol. If we click on it right here, it kind of tells us where we have the error, and then we can click on this log, and it'll download a CSV report that will tell us exactly what's going on. And we never had this before, so this is really nice. And it says the unit quiz is not, the category is not found in Aspire for this quiz. Please ensure that the assignment category match between Aspire and Canvas. And even better, we can come over here and click on that link right there, and it'll take it to that course. And if we go look on assignments, this is the #1 issue with grades not syncing. Okay, remember, we saw that icon. We know that this is an assignment group that's syncing. All the green, these are all syncing. Now, there's one assignment right here that's trying to sync, and there is no icon right there. This assignment is never going to sync unless it gets drug up right here. And now once it gets drug up there, now it's going to sync, and that error message will go away. But I'm going to share that with the teacher and let him fix that. So I'm not going to change that without telling the teacher. So anytime that you see a green icon that does not have this right here, then you know it's never going to sync. That's the #1 message that we get. Okay, so that's our error message. Okay, then I can show you gradebook in this one because we don't have any students in this course. If we have the nightly sync turned on, then if we want to push grades, say that we've graded something and the kids want to know their grades right now and they want to see them in Aspire, you can easily just push the grades yourself right now. You come here to actions and you say sync to SIS, and a window will pop up. And there's no assignments because we don't have any in those groups, but it'll give you a list of the assignments and you can just go check, check, check and say post grades, and it'll post those grades right there for you and sync them to SIS. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Let's see, look at my notes to make sure we got the error reports. Okay, so you want to make sure that in your assignment groups, okay, just to review, in your assignment groups that you date those and you make sure that they have the dates on them that correspond with your terms, okay, Q1, Q2, okay, so you want to make sure those. Another note to consider is, and a lot of teachers have called me on this, see where this right here, we had it in the sync category, but remember it didn't show up. It will not show up until there's a grade in it. So that tells me right here, because it didn't show up, that he has not graded anything in it. As soon as this teacher grades something in this test, in this lesson, then it will take the assignment and put the assignment in Aspire. So a lot of teachers will do this part of it and not see all the assignments show up in Aspire and think they haven't done it correctly. You have to understand that it's not until that there's a grade in the assignment that it will sync. Make sense?
Looking for changes.
Looking for changes.
Anytime there's a change, yep.
Anytime there's a change, okay? So does that make sense, Clint? Do you think that covers everything?
It worked well for me. I get it.
Yep. So since we have a minute, I want to talk a little bit about gradebook filtering, because I had another question about that today from a teacher. Teacher couldn't find some of her assignments in her gradebook, couldn't figure out why they weren't appearing. She had made the date due for the assignment was actually in the next quarter, which I can't believe is coming up already. But it was for the next quarter. So it wasn't appearing because it was filtering by grading periods. So we've set up grading periods in all of our districts for each quarter. Okay, some call them terms, some call them quarters, but they're broken into the 4 parts of the year. So you can view your gradebook. You can filter by a number of ways. You can arrange the names or the assignments by certain ways, okay? Or you can filter by grading periods. Once you click on this, then you get this menu right here, and it tells you all grading periods or Q1, Q2. If it's a year-long class, you're going to see Q3 and Q4. So this makes it really nice when you get towards the end of the year. And then you've got all these assignments. You don't have to scroll all the way down to the end to find your assignments. You can filter just for that grading period that you're in. So you want to use that to view, okay? And you can also filter it by modules. So if you're really using modules well, and you only want to grade that one content area of module, you can do that. You can also turn on the sections. So if you have, especially some of the secondary teachers who have maybe 4 or 5 sections, remember those were those groups of students. If you have multiple sections and maybe you're only grading 4th, 5th period, you can filter. And so that changes this section over here. So now you're only grading 5th period and you don't have to view all of them. That filter works in SpeedGrader as well. Okay. And you can also not view unpublished assignments. So that way that kind of cleans up your gradebook and allows you to view things a little bit easier. Okay. Clinton, can you think of anything else that we could share in gradebook?
No, I think you covered it.
Okay. So Canvas just has so many features, and all you have to do is ask or look in the Canvas community guides. There's just a lot of features in there that are available. So, yep, there's the link for the community guides. The help guide is right there. It's also in Canvas under the help section. If you look, there's a tutorial step-by-step, and then there's a Canvas community that's in there. I put that in the doc as well, Clint. In the
The
Canvas
links are there. I don't
community.
see the links.
It's in the doc at the top.
Oh, the Grade Passback tutorial.
Yeah. Oh, but I didn't put the Canvas community one in. Sorry. The Canvas community is more for admins, just to be able to troubleshoot. So Clint's putting those links in the chat, and then those will be available on the slideshow as well. But that's a great resource, as well as the Canvas support. That's always a great resource, 24/7 support we have.
And the chat.
And the chat's great. It's easy to use all the time. Okay.
Randy, any questions on Canvas? I know that was a lot, but is there any like general questions? Or
I don't know.
how do I log
I'm just
in?
barely starting to get the gist of it. So yeah.
It's a monster. I mean, it's huge.
I mean, it can do anything. So
You can do anything you want.
It is. It's a
Usually
beast.
you can do it a couple of different ways. So
I think that's part of the problem, because I'll teach it one way, Clint will teach it another way, and it gets confusing because there's so many roads to the same path, the same destination. But just click, dive in. The community's great. There's lots of great guides.
we're always available. Let us know if you have a question or want to help get them started, whatever you want to do. Okay, a couple of more informational things. Here is our next month's schedule. Randy, you are the first to see it in the world.
Ooh,
Besides me. So next week, we'll talk about the new drag and drop activity type in Nearpod. Week after that, we'll talk about the new Canvas and Google integration. Chris had it listed as Google LTI 1.3, and I think that's just a little too geeky for
yeah.
our audience. So just know there's a new integration, and we're still waiting for it to kind of be perfect, but nothing ever is. But it's much better than it has been. After that, we're going to talk about e-media resources from UEN. And then we had a request from Jeremy in Millard. He asked me to cover Quizlet in a little bit more detail. So we'll do that near the end of the month. So that is our October schedule. We hope folks join us live or on the recordings. That's always welcome as well. And then a couple more good things. You always want to work on building your personal learning network. Great way to do that is Utah Ed Chat. Happens on Twitter every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. To learn more how to do the Utah Ed Chat, I will drop that link into the chat there. It's also in the slides. That just basically shows you how to search it. Basically go to Twitter and search for that hashtag, and you can follow that conversation along. The topic this week, going to be an interesting one, esports in the classroom.
Oh,
Cammie Taylor from Jordan School District, she joins us for our regional trainer PLC meetings, but she's going to talk about esports tomorrow, which ought to be kind of fun. So that is Utah Ed Chat. And then also USET has a couple of some good podcasts out there. We put out our monthly newsletter and our podcast. Those are going to be ramping back up here in a moment, talking to interesting teachers about timely topics in educational technology. Kara Bettis and Matt Winters are fantastic folks. They do a great job with that podcast, and it's fun to listen to. And Randy, since you were the only one in class,
what did she win, Clint?
you get the prize of not having to sign the roll. I've already put you in Midas and awarded credit, so you're good
I
to
generally
go.
forget anyway, so
Well,
it's good.
you got it taken care of.
I think I
And then the
talked to
recording
you.
will be there at bit.ly/SEDC, capital TTT archive. And that's it. So we hope to see you next week. I will stop the video.